Have you ever wondered what a pilot feels when he knows that one flight of his can change the course of the entire war? Not just a battle, not just an offensive, but the entire war. Imagine, late evening, the 9th of September, 2025. Outside, it is almost completely dark, about 8 o'clock in the evening. At a military airfield in the Kirovohrad region of Ukraine, the crew of a Su-24 prepares for the most dangerous flight of their lives. This aircraft is far from new. It is more than 40 years old, but today it must carry out a flight on which the outcome of the battle near Pokrovsk in the Donetsk region depends. Attached to the wings of this old but still combat-ready aircraft are 2 heavy cruise missiles. Their weight is almost 3 tons. Inside each one is a warhead weighing 450 kilograms. These are not just missiles. They are intelligent munitions capable of destroying concrete fortifications, headquarters, bunkers, everything hidden underground. The takeoff signal is given silently. The final checks are completed. The mechanics step back from the aircraft and only silently nod to the pilot. He understands. He may not come back. But there is no choice. The target is almost 900 kilometers from the base, and to strike it accurately, he will have to approach to a distance of 15 kilometers. That is almost suicide. Because there lies the dense zone of Russian air defense systems. The newest S-300 and S-400 complexes are on duty there. Any wrong maneuver, and that is it. The aircraft will turn into a fiery cloud in the sky over Donbass. But why is all this so important? At the same time, near Pokrovsk, the Russian 41st Army and 20th Army Corps are preparing for a large-scale offensive. Troops are concentrating, T-90 tanks are fueled, BMP-3 infantry fighting vehicles are loaded, howitzers are brought into combat readiness. Columns with fuel and ammunition are waiting for the signal to move out. If this strike is not stopped, the front will be broken. But Ukraine is betting not on a frontal assault, not on artillery, and not even on defense. The bet is on one point. On delivering a single precise strike to destroy the headquarters from which this entire army machine is commanded. Headquarters located deep in the rear, in the heart of Donetsk. They are not located in trenches, not in dugouts, but on the territory of old Soviet industrial giants, the Topaz radio electronics plant and the metallurgical plant in the city center. It was there that officers, generals, the entire top command staff were transferred. It is from there that orders are issued, artillery strikes are coordinated, all intelligence information is gathered. And here begins what can be called the spy game of the 21st century. A day before this, the Ukrainian electronic reconnaissance system detected suspicious activity on the frequencies usually used by senior Russian military officials. These were not just conversations. These were masses of data transmitted from command posts. The officers acted out of habit, in their comfort zone. None of them knew that every packet of data was already being monitored, that every signal was being intercepted and analyzed in real time. The intersection points of the signals are the Topaz plant and the Donetsk metallurgical plant. Immediately, Shark drones are sent there, powerful reconnaissance machines with high-resolution cameras. They hover in the sky for hours at an altitude of more than 4,000 meters, watching vehicles, guards, and the movements of people, and then, visual confirmation. Vehicles with flags drive into both of these facilities, security is reinforced, the command staff is on site, the target is defined. Now comes the question for the executor. The only chance of success is the Su-24. 1 aircraft, 1 pilot, 2 missiles, and many deadly obstacles. To launch the missiles from a safe distance means to fail the mission. They would be shot down even before reaching the target. He must enter the kill zone, come close, right under the nose of the anti-aircraft guns, and only then press the launch button and survive himself. The operation begins. The Su-24 soars into the air and immediately descends to an ultra-low altitude, only 50 to 60 meters above the ground. It flies between the trees, almost brushing the treetops with its cockpit. Around, silence. Only the pilot hears commands and engine noise in his headphones. No escort, no fighters. One against the entire air defense system. But this is his element. This is what he was made for. Over Donbass, an operation unfolds that will one day be studied in military academies. Because at this moment, in the air, on the ground, and in the command posts, dozens of people are working, coordinating everything, down to the very second, and then false targets appear in the sky. From above, one after another, drones appear, many of them. This is not an attack. This is a symphony of deception. Drones of different types launch from secret Ukrainian bases across the country. Their task is to distract, to confuse, to force the Russian crews to believe that the main threat is them. Some drones deliberately approach the target at unusual angles with sharp changes of course and altitude. The radar screens of the Russian crews are filled with dots, targets, false signals, interference, pantsers, tors, launcher complexes, all are occupied. Everyone is looking at the sky, but not where they need to. This is only the first wave. Following it, new Ukrainian developments go into battle. 3 Peklo cruise missiles. Each one has 3 jet engines. These missiles are not just for distraction, they are strike munitions. They move together with the others, but with a different mission, to bring chaos. It is these missiles that must strike the targets first, the very headquarters. 1 flies to Topaz, 2 to the metallurgical giant. Their task is to knock out electronics, create panic, drive the officers into shelters, and force everyone to look in one direction. While they are flying, behind them comes another wave. A swarm of kamikaze drones, about 15 units, including the UJ-26 Beaver and the Ram 2X models. Each drone carries its own mission. Some must explode near radars to overload the system and blind it for a few seconds. Others strike at the power supply, distribution boards, and backup power units. The goal is not a complete blackout, but a short disruption. 1 second. 2. That is enough. 1 failure. And the air corridor is temporarily open, and at that very moment, through that tiny gap in the system, the Su-24 must slip through. From the control center in Kyiv, this is monitored in real time. A giant screen, icons moving across the coordinate grid, 1 aircraft, dozens of drones, waves of strike missiles, everything like on a chessboard, only this is not a game. One of the operators watches as one of the drones goes down. A missile managed to shoot it down. A second one, also destroyed, from a distance of about 12 kilometers. But the third one breaks through. It flies through the entire system and hits the target precisely. The communication antenna on the roof of the Topaz plant, a powerful explosion. A 50-kilogram warhead leaves no chance. Communication with the outside world in the headquarters is cut off. People below run into shelters. Some do not understand what happened. Some scream into the radio. Some freeze. Inside, chaos. And that is exactly what is needed. The Russian officers try to restore communication, but everything goes dead. Some have no access to backup channels. Others experience equipment failure, panic, in some places even fear. Meanwhile, the Su-24 is already on a combat course. Its goal is to reach the launch point at an altitude just above the tree line. It flies at minimal height. The radar almost does not see it, only a faint thermal trace, and even that weak. But that faint trace is noticed by a Russian long-range radar detection aircraft. The signal is immediately transmitted to the nearest S-400 battery. The pilot hears in his headphones the screech of the target lock signal. Instant reaction, a sharp climb, almost like a candle upward. At the same time, the button to release decoys, clouds of metallic foil and magnesium flares burst in the sky. The missile launched at him loses its target. It explodes in the sky, at a distance, but close enough for the pilot to hear the roar. The cockpit light goes out, the instruments shake, but the aircraft holds. He dives down again, back into the embrace of the earth. Very little is left. Meanwhile, in Kyiv, they watch the dots. The Peklo missiles have reached their targets. One headquarters is already damaged. Communication in the city is disrupted. This is the moment of truth. From the sky over Donetsk, in the area of the Topaz plant, a shark drone circles. It sees that the buildings are intact, but inside, movement. People in panic, and most importantly, the command staff is on site. Senior officers are inside the headquarters. This is confirmed. At that moment, from Kyiv through an encrypted channel comes one single command: fire. Two heavy Storm Shadow missiles smoothly separate from the wings of the Su-24 and head toward the target. Each of them flies at almost the speed of sound, but so low that the radars detect them only when it is already too late. The pilot makes a sharp turn, veering off to the side, hugging the terrain again. He leaves the strike zone, breaking away from the target. Behind him lies the city over which a storm is about to thunder. Only 35 seconds pass. The first missile flies precisely into the ventilation shaft of the Topaz plant, into the place where, underground, the command bunker of the 41st Army is hidden. Guidance is laser-based by the marker from the Shark drone. The explosion occurs deep underground. Inside, generals, officers, maps, diagrams, communications equipment, command servers, all of it turns to dust. The blast wave finds no exit. It tears everything around, crushing reinforced concrete and people like paper. Silence. Then, a muffled underground blow that shakes the entire district. After another 8 seconds, the second strike. Into the building of the former metallurgical plant in the very center of Donetsk, where the headquarters of the 20th Division was located, flies the second missile. Its warhead works in 2 stages. The first charge pierces the floors, concrete, reinforcement, protective layers, and then the second, the main one, penetrates inside and detonates in the very depth of the building, exactly in the center of the headquarters. The pressure of the explosion literally tears the structure apart from within. Its load-bearing framework cannot withstand it. The building collapses like a house of cards, raising into the air a cloud of concrete, fire, and metal. At the site of both headquarters, chaos. Russian troops cordon off the area. Security services move to the perimeter. All roads are blocked. Through the night city rush ambulances, fire brigades, and special equipment. Clearing of the rubble begins immediately, in the dark, under the light of searchlights. But even with complete isolation, eyewitnesses still hear and see. This is not an ordinary shelling. This is targeted destruction. The main defeat lies not even in the fact that the buildings are destroyed. The main thing is that the head of the entire grouping is lost. Both headquarters, where intelligence from the front was gathered, where strikes were coordinated, where decisions on the offensive were made, wiped out. Without them, the army is blind. There is no communication. Headquarters personnel are destroyed or demoralized. Orders do not come. Troops on the front line act blindly. In some places, confusion. In others, panic. By morning, the Russian artillery is either silent or firing chaotically. Coordination is gone. Those very tanks that were waiting for the signal to advance stand in forest plantations, not knowing what to do. Fuel is not being delivered. Ammunition is not distributed. Supply columns have not moved out of the rear. Engines are off. Drivers wait for orders that no one is giving anymore. And at this time, Ukraine goes on the counterattack. Freedom of action appears. Drones and artillery, once constrained by dense defenses, receive full freedom in the air and on the ground. Special forces penetrate the rear, destroy depots, ambushes, communication nodes. The front line begins to collapse. Those who were once advancing are now hastily defending, poorly organized, without support from above. This is no longer a trench war. This is a maneuvering offensive. And it became possible thanks to a strike that looked like the sortie of a single aircraft, but behind it stood an entire system. Reconnaissance, drones, precise planning, coordination, and above all, courage. This is not just victory in one operation. This is a sign. In war, the winner is not the one who has more tanks, but the one who acts smarter. The one who can read the enemy, deceive him, and deprive him of the most important thing, command. On this day, Russia lost not just a command post. It lost tempo, initiative, and control. And Ukraine gained a chance. If you are interested not just in following reports, but in understanding what lies behind every decision, behind every movement of the front, subscribe to our channel. Here we talk not about numbers, but about strategy, about people who risk their lives, about technologies that change the rules of the game, and about how modern war turns from brute force into a chess match. Thank you for watching. Your interest is what gives us the strength to tell the truth. See you in the next episode.